Hey guys, today I'm talking about termites, and specifically a type of termite that lives here in the southeastern part of the United States, and it is called a subterranean termite. They're very common here and they can attack homes, and over a period of months and years they can do tremendous amounts of damage to the wood in the home. Now the good thing about these termites is they work slowly, so if you do find them and detect them around your house, you have plenty of time to get them under control. It's not like they're going to infest your home and 6 months later you're going to have major damage. So this is something that does take time, but I'm going to show you how to use a plastic bottle to confirm whether you have termites, and another way to eliminate them and stop them from getting in your house. This is a super cheap way to do it versus the thousands of dollars you'll pay to a professional service for killing the termites and stopping them from attacking your home. So I'll show you how to turn this into your first line of defense on getting rid of termites from around your home. Now the first thing you need to do is just get a common plastic soda bottle. You can either use something like a Sprite bottle, but I prefer these Gatorade bottles because of the size of the opening, because of the bait we're going to be putting in here. So the first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to remove the label and make sure whatever type of plastic bottle you have, make sure that you get one that's perfectly clear. You don't want one like the Mountain Dew bottles that are kind of shaded green. You need a perfectly clear bottle just like this in step one. Now the second thing you want to do is you want to put a lot of small holes towards the top of the bottle. So we're going to use this soldering pin here, and you can use something as simple as a knife or razor blade, but this really for me makes the cleanest type of holes. So we're going to wait for this to heat up. It takes a few minutes. This is cordless, and I think this was something like $10. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in getting one of these. They come in handy for a lot of different projects, and it's completely wireless. So just make sure that you get one that's wireless. The ones that have the corded type, it just seems forever for those to heat up, and also they get super hot. I just need enough heat to melt this plastic. Now what we're actually making here is we're making a monitoring station, and you can buy these at the store, but they're quite expensive. They can range anywhere from $15 to $30 depending on the brand, and so we're going to make them for practically nothing. And you can make these for nothing if you're just throwing these away. And the second item is even cheaper. You can find it in your yard, but I'm going to use a professionally purchased item here. This is a very light untreated wood dowel, very large dowel, but you can make your own. You can whittle some wood and just make sure it's nice and straight. You want to make sure that it is a soft wood because termites do prefer their wood on the soft side. So don't use a hardwood, use something like this that's made from a soft wood tree. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we cut this to an exact size. So we're going to mark this with our marker, and we don't want to cut it too short or too long. We just want it to have a nice firm fit inside the bottle. So I've marked it, and I'm going to take a saw. You can use any type of saw you might have around, like a pruning saw. I'm going to use a cordless electric saw, but you can use pruning saws or hacksaws, anything, and just cut through the piece and make sure it's the exact length of your bottle. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to drill a pilot hole in the very center on one end, and we want to do that because we don't want to split the wood in half. So we just want to drill a very small pilot hole about the same size as the screw we're going to use, which is this size right here, just a typical outdoor wood screw. You don't want to use indoor because you don't want them to rust. So we're going to do that real quick. All right, so we've got one hole in each end, 2 screws there. Now we're going to take our dowel rod and make sure it's the right size. It fits in there perfectly. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some wood shavings of untreated wood. We don't want a lot, just maybe a handful, and we want to put this in the bottle, and so we flip it upside down, it's going to settle to the base. But this is going to attract as even more bait to our termites. So once we have this in there, maybe a good solid handful or 2, but we don't want a lot in there because we still need to be able to monitor it when we do our testing to make sure we don't have termites. So we're going to do that. We're going to take our drill and we're going to put 1 screw, change out the bits there. We're going to put 1 screw in the top of our cap. Just carefully put that into the top, right in the center. Then we're going to go 1 step further and line up the hole to our screw and just slowly screw that in there. So it doesn't have to be completely snug there. We just want it to sit in there properly. And once we screw it down, we have a bottle that we're going to be placing in the ground upside down like this. So if any water collects in here, it will drain out. Now I've got a little bit of moisture problem here, so I'm going to have to make sure that all the wood shavings are at the base of the bottle. Now I've shaken the bottle and got all of our wood shavings down at the base, and all of these holes you see in here are large enough for termites to enter in through, but other insects can't get in this bottle. This is just strictly a termite baiting station, and also for us it's a monitoring station. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one more thing to the end of this bottle before we place it in the ground outside of our home. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to take some painter's tape, and about a ½ inch down on the bottle we're going to put painter's tape all the way around the very bottom, and make sure we get it all the way around, make sure it's on there perfectly, and I'll explain just a sec why we're doing this. Now next we're going to take some orange marking tape, some kind of fluorescent orange, something that's really bright and easy to see, and we're going to spray paint the bottom of the bottle. This is not critical to where we're going to be inspecting for termites, so we're doing this for a whole nother reason. Now I'm going to prop this up and allow it to dry for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now next I'm going to remove the painter's tape, and so you want to make sure you do the painter's tape because you want to be able to see clearly into the bottle when you're doing a monitoring for each time you do this. And this will be about anywhere from about every 9 months to 1 year, so it's not something you're going to need to do frequently. And I'll explain real quickly why we've painted the top of this bottle orange. This is going to be upside down in the ground, and we want this right at ground level. So sometimes you can have this covered with debris, grass, and things like that. So you want something that's really bright and it's really easy to see. Now, another thing you can add are these small hooks, or these small screw-in eyelets, the screw eyes as they call them. And you can put one right in the bottom or right to the left of the, right in the center, I guess, because this side is actually the one that has the screw in it. So you can put one of these in there, and the reason for that is if this is not in a grass area where a lawnmower would hit it, you want to be able to pull it out as easy as possible. So I'm going to drill another hole in the base and put one of these eyelet screws there. All right, I'm going to screw that in there and just slowly do that until we catch into the wood. A little bit tricky, so you have to kind of turn the bottle, maybe hold the screws perfectly still. And just slowly turn that in there until you feel it catch into the wood. Now you have a screw on the bottom, and now you have a screw on the top, like that. And so this is going to make it a lot easier to monitor your bait stations. Of course, if this is going into an area where you run over it with a lawnmower, you want to make sure that it's flush with the bottle and not sticking up at all. But this just makes it easier to remove from the ground. Matter of fact, you can just use any type of hook you have and pull it out of the ground quickly and examine it and check for termites. Now these stations, you can put them about once every 5 feet all the way around your house, and since the cost to make them is so inexpensive, it's really easy to do. Now you can dig these holes in a perfectly round way by using a bulb auger, but in this area, this is just a bed where I have some flowers planted, and so we just need to dig down and plant this in the ground. But I want to make sure the orange cap or the orange end is sticking up so I can easily see it, pull it out and monitor it and check for any termites that might have found their way to it. And again, like I said, this is maybe every 4 to 5 feet around the complete perimeter of your home. Now this is now planted in the ground, and it's just super easy to see. And like I said, this is going to be a lot cheaper than having a professional come out to your house and do the exact same thing with some professional monitoring stations. It's basically just the same thing. We're trying to determine whether or not there's any termites anywhere around your home. And I read in a magazine once that there, in the southeast where I live, there's about 1 million termites in every acre in the area where I live. Now, as I said, you can make these for practically nothing. I mean, if you're going to be throwing away plastic bottles, whether it's a soda bottle, which you'd have to have a smaller dowel pen, or something with a larger opening like this, which I prefer, you can just get them for free as you dispose of them. Just keep them, don't throw them away, and just turn it into a termite monitoring station. Now, these were purchased, and I can put the link to everything I'm using in the description, but you could also just use a standard piece of wood that's very straight, shave off the bark, and then soak it in water, and just make sure that it has a high moisture content and that it's a softwood, not necessarily a hardwood, because termites do prefer softwood. So you can put these completely around your house, but what do you do if you pull it out and then you see evidence of termites inside the bottle? I'm going to show you exactly what you should do. So you've discovered termites somewhere around your house and you're in a panic. Now, as I said earlier in the video, termites work very slowly. So this is something you don't have to panic about, but you do need to take action on it. This termite killing granule, you can put up to 200 linear feet around your house, so it covers probably the average size home, but you don't have to treat your whole home at one time. If you find termites in one of the bottles around the outside, then just treat about 10 feet on the left and 10 feet to the right of the bottle you found. Follow the directions exactly. And you can also purchase a type of bait that they can consume and take back to the nesting. So this kills, but then I'll put a link in the description for something that acts as a bait that they'll take back to the nest and kill off the entire colony. So you have two different ways of doing this. You can either try to kill all of them, the entire colony, or you can bait it and just do the same exact thing. So it's either direct kill or indirect kill through baiting. So guys, this actually worked for me. I actually found termites in my garage headed that way, just outside the door on the grass area. And so it was very easy for me to discover them by having all these stations. I was able to treat them directly, and they did make it inside. Now I'll put some pictures up of what termites look like once they come in contact with a brick wall. They live in something called mud tubes, and so they could be on wood or brick, and they're just working their way up to some wood where they want to eat, which is the cellulose is what they consume. So that's one of the things we want to do. We want to monitor and stop them before they make it inside by killing the entire colony. So guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions about this video or any previous video, I hope you'll become a public subscriber first, because I tend to put those questions to the front of the line of people who are public subscribers. Also, if you want to see any material or videos, I have free PDF downloads and also content that will never appear on YouTube. They're only going to be on Patreon. So if you'd like to take a look at that, I have a Patreon link in the description. And guys, I really appreciate you watching, and have a great day.